Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is Jeff Rains coming to you again with Foundation of Civilization. I wanted to address something that's coming up, a another problem that society is running into today. First, I'm going to note that people are creatures of habit. We take our natural abilities and we build habits to support ourselves. Uh, Now, for 200 years, wealth has been created at an incredible rate, and parents have been making it easier and easier for their children, so that the rising generation has had it very easy, and now they're ill prepared to enter the workforce. We saw this in the past. In the Indus Valley, their civilization just broke up. I mean, anciently, they had cities that just disappeared. People walked away from them. The Mayan civilization ceased to exist in the Yucatan Peninsula, an area that once supported, I believe it was 20 million people. Now it only supports about 200,000. There are times in history when a civilization is not able to pass the principles of that civilization from one generation to the next. Well, we're starting to see those cracks today. And as I mentioned, Gen Z is coming of age and they are struggling. These are people that are born between 1997 and 2012. They've grown up with rapid gratification. Any type of food or entertainment that they want is at the tip of their hands with the internet, cell phones, social media. But they've also experienced social fractures, like the overturning of Roe versus Wade, Me Too, and George Floyd. Now, whether that impact is real or perceived, that's what they're seeing, that's what they're feeling. The influence of technology and social issues have had a profound effect, and many in a not a good way. It's being noted that Gen Z is being fired at an alarming rate. Now, in Forbes, they Forbes was actually very kind, and they had said there are three reasons why this is happening. One is a lack of motivation, which they say is not entirely their fault. They entered the workforce under COVID-19 rules. Two, and this I understand, they're speaking a different language. A lot of them text instead of making a phone call. And three, I completely understand. They reject the all work and no life mentality. And from the article, if I'm going to paraphrase it, one of the biggest reasons that Gen Z is finding themselves out of work is the rejection of traditional work culture, which emphasizes long hours, constant availability, and immersion into one's job. Past generations have worked long, hard hours. They sacrifice their own interests and families to advance themselves in a company or a career. The hustle culture romanticized working nights, weekends, and holidays to get ahead. Gen Z is not buying into this culture. They want more than just a paycheck, they want balance. They want a sense of personal fulfillment, something that comes with more than just a salary. A Deloitte report in 2023 showed that 50% of Gen Z ranked work life balance as one of their top priorities when selecting a job. The Gen Z has become the speak your mind generation, and they're less likely to accept a toxic workplace conditions and will leave positions faster if the a position does not meet their expectations. Looming underneath the surface of the employment issue is a mental health problem, and it is only going to get worse as this generation comes of age. And if we can't figure out with this generation how to solve their problems, we won't survive as a society. We have to figure out what we need to do to make adjustments. And Gen Z has to figure out what they need to do to make adjustments as well. 2023, the mental health crisis. A 2023 Gallup survey found that almost half, 47%, of Gen Zers, that's age 12 to 26, often or always feel anxious, and more than 1 in 5 at 22% often always feel depressed. Figures are even higher for females and adults in this sample, and were alarmingly high for those in alternative lifestyles, the LGBTQ plus community. They're feeling the anxiety at 74% rate, and with 50% feeling depressed. Among Gen Z ages 18 to 24, the Census Bureau found 2022 Census Bureau survey found that more than 2 in 5, 44%, reported persistent nervous or on edge anxious feelings, and 1 in 3, 33%, felt depressed, down, or hopelessness. According to a 2022 federal survey, nearly 15,000 Gen Z youth from 12 to 17, or 1 in 5 of them, had a major depressive episode in the past year. If we extrapolate that out, that's equivalent to 4.8 million adolescents. An even greater share, 25%, had a major depressive episode or substance use disorder in the past year. Uh, More than 1 in 3 Gen Z young adults 18 to 25 a had mental illness in the past year. In addition, Gen Z is self-reports of depression, anxiety, and struggles, and hospitalizations are increasing. Among people aged 6 to 24, the share of ER visits for mental health problems nearly doubled from 2011 to 2020. Why are they feeling this way? Why why the depression? Why the struggles? Now, I want to point out that there's their perception and what they believe to be threatening them and society, and then there's reality of what really is threatening them and and our society. These are the issues that Gen Z sees as threatening. So, gun violence and social issues in America. More than two-thirds, 42%, are worried about gun violence negatively affecting their mental health. 70% see it as a public health issue. Technology uh, is playing a huge role. In our hyper-connected world, we can provide access to positive social connections and supportive resources. Unfortunately, the opposite is true also. They can get a hold of negative news stories. They can sit behind the computer and become a keyboard warrior and be threatening, be be threatening or be threatened. Somebody can just very quickly type out a negative message towards them, towards each other. Financial stress and achievement pressure. Uh, um, is another issue. 56% of Gen Z young adults say that financial worries are negatively influencing their mental health, and half say achievement pressure is having the same impact. Many in Gen Z feel like they lack life direction and purpose. A Harvard study found that half of Gen Z young adults say their mental health is negatively affected by not knowing what to do. Almost 3 in 5, 58%, lack meaning or purpose in their lives, felt like they lacked purpose or meaning in their lives in the past month. Among young people 12 to 26, a Gallup poll survey found that the biggest driver for Gen Z happiness is their sense of purpose at either work or school, but 43 to 49% of Gen Zers, uh, quote, do not feel what they do each day is interesting, important, or motivating. The Gen Z gets a sense that climate change and global worries are a threat to them. Nearly half, 45%, think that their mental health is being harmed because they feel like everything's falling apart. 1 in 3 say that climate change is having a negative effect. The and this is where I think we start to really get to the issue. they they are not feeling that they have a connection with others. They feel the need to connect with others, but more than 2 in 5 Gen Z young adults feel they don't matter to others, and 1 in 3, 34%, report loneliness, according to a Harvard survey. This is corroborated by a 2023 Gallup survey that says 1 in 3 Gen Zers, 12 to 26, do not feel loved. 31% uh, uh, do not feel supported uh, by others, many of them always or often feel like nobody knows them very well. This is especially troubling given that these young people are going through a vulnerable development stage, and evidence suggests that stable, supportive relationships are important for positive mental health. The mental health, suicide rates among young people aged 10 to 24 has surged 57% from 2009 to 2019. The rate continued to climb through 2021 before declining in 2022. Suicide was the third leading cause of death among Gen Z overall in 2022. Uh, an ethnic group that is seeing a high rates of suicide are American Indians, Alaska Natives, and Native Hawaiian and Pacific Islanders. Now, Gen Z tends to be much more open about their mental health, and they're seeking help, but they can't always access care. Members of the group are more likely than any of the previous groups to seek therapy. Some 39% of Gen Zers, a higher rate than previous, have reported working with mental health professionals. According to Mental Health America, 60% of Gen Z youth ages 12 to 17 with major depression do not receive treatment. Uh, there are there are a lot of barriers to Gen Z receiving treatment. Some of the common barriers reported are getting help, or is the stigma. They're afraid or embarrassed that people will find out that they're getting counseling. Some of them feel like they're too busy. They're having difficulty getting time off work. Challenges finding a provider, insurance limitations, and not knowing how to find services. Now, this the mental health problem for Gen Z was not helped at all by COVID-19. The pandemic radically changed family, community, educational, and social and employment experiences for everyone. It shifted learning to online. It created social isolation, and it closed a lot of community programs. Among Gen Z young adults, many had the college plans, jobs, and finances knocked off track. In October 2020, more than 40% of U.S. households reported that a prospective college student was canceling plans to attend community college. Uh, the Census Bureau also, on Kids Count uh, data center, demonstrated some of the employment and financial difficulties that they faced. May of 2020, 63% of young adults ages 18 to 24 reported that they or household members lost employment income. Uh, Previously, almost 1 in 10, 9% of young adults said that they sometimes or often did not have enough food to eat prior to the pandemic. As of April and May 2020, that number had risen to 14%. Now, that number has come down a little slightly, and now it's all in October and November of 2022 is down to 13%. In April and May of 2020, more than 1 in 5, 22% of young adults said that they had little or no confidence in their ability to make their next rent or mortgage payment on time. This figure declined to 13% as of the latest data available in March and May of 2022. Nearly 2 in 5, that's 37%, U.S. high schoolers said that they experienced poor mental health during the pandemic, and over half, 55%, said they endured emotional abuse by someone at home. Among parents, almost 47% said that the pandemic had negatively affected their child's mental health. So, what causes depression in young people generally? Well, mental health conditions like depression, anxiety disorders are very complex and they're usually not a single issue. Many of them have multiple factors, including brain chemistry, disruptions, and genetic vulnerability to traumatic experiences, such as abuse, exposure to violence, death of a loved one, and negative thought patterns. So, what's happening with Gen Z that has exacerbated the depression issue? Well, some things that come to mind: high rates of social media use, worsening stress and social context due to issues like climate change, mass shootings, racial violence, and the opioid epidemic. Uh, Now we're getting into the long-term effects of economic inequalities. I I need to make some points here as I get ready to close this. A significant amount of depression is due to the lack of family structure and emotional support, even when the family is there. Family connections begin from before birth. Babies in gestation, they can sense their mother's emotions, and they can hear her voice along with anybody else that she's around, the voices of anybody else that she's around. Increasing divorce rates has fractured the family units, coupled with declining birth rates, give us fewer family members that we feel we can call on. Add to this a high dependency on government to solve our social and financial issues rather than looking to ourselves and our communities. Lieutenant Colonel Dave Grossman, an Army psychologist and author of On Combat and On Killing, noted that in previous generations, that mental health issues started an uptick uh, with uh, when we have artificial light, we can stay up for long periods of time, and which disturbs our sleep patterns. And when we don't get enough sleep, our minds don't function well, and it leads to mental health issues. Uh, we and this includes even if we're not sitting there playing games or watching TV and playing whatever, doing whatever we need to. We need to be able to let our minds slow down, shut down, and organize the thoughts of the day. Now today we add to this the addiction to electronic entertainment has driven our mental health issues has brought it to a head. Add to add social media problems and the dependency on electronic gaming instead of physical activity outdoors, which included social interaction. It's limited our social development. People have become emotionally stunted. I've noted that many in Gen Z, yeah, they have problems with other generations, but they've got problems with themselves. They can't even get along with each other. Both the social media and electronic gaming fosters an attitude of sarcasm. I remember when I was young, I used to enjoy watching the Muppets, and those the two Muppets sitting up in the balcony, they'd make some sarcastic comment, and we thought it was funny, ha 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 ha. Well, this has only gotten worse with social media, with people's ability to sit behind a keyboard, make make rude and mean comments to each other, and not have to deal with the consequences of it. If I was out on the field when I was young playing some kind of sports, and I make some wild, nasty comment, somebody was going to say something or do something, and I was gonna have to adjust my attitude and and my actions. Um, Instead of engaging with serious emotion, we mask our feelings with this rudeness. And when it's time to be respectful and thoughtful, we don't even know how. Transitions from one generation to the next have been a problem throughout civilization. Each generation has to sort out the issues. that are impacting them. Our enhancements with technology has given Gen Z much greater problems to handle and to deal with. Gen Z has to sort out its problems, and we in the older generations have to figure out what we can do to help them. Legacy media is not helping. I'll address that in other uh, videos, but legacy media is just pathetic. They're only exacerbating the problem. Now, I hope that this has been rather informative for you to look and see what are the challenges that are coming up, and this one I think is a very significant one and something that we need to and can do something about, and we're going to have to address it in the near future. Uh, I hope you guys are getting ready to see and seeing the challenges and struggles that are hitting our world. We've had some very important ones over the past week, and I hope that you guys are getting ready. Please get together, hang out, and hug your families and friends, and show them the love and support that they need. Um, you, you know, no matter what generation you're in, I want you to know that you do matter. You have things to do, you have work to achieve, and and we need you. We need your help, and everybody has to do their part. Please like, share, and subscribe, and let me know how you like this video. Again, this is Jeff Rains with Foundation of Civilization. Much love, and hope that you guys are doing well.